Hello, I'm Valerie Nieman. I live in Rockingham County, north of Greensboro. It's a rural county, heavily agricultural, which reminds me of my growing up years in western New York State's dairy country, and then a quarter century in northern West Virginia, where I had a small farm and worked as a journalist. I covered Hurricane Juan in 1985, which brought massive flooding that killed 38 people, rerouted rivers, destroyed or damaged 13,000 homes and businesses. Helene's impact on Western North Carolina brought back those memories. While lately I've been deeply immersed in the 11th century world of Macbeth, I haven't stopped writing poems. Today I'm offering work from both worlds. The poems, which all touch on rivers and the land, include work from my three collections and new arrivals as I'm moving toward a new and selected book. The prose is a scene from Upon the Corner of the Moon, my story of the young Macbeths, just out from Regal House. I've chosen as my charity Homeward Bound, which is dedicated to housing solutions for those most in need in Buncombe County. Lore. Trust water only from springs. Creeks and rivers murmur of white quartz, willow shade, minnows flashing silver sides, dissembling the doe dead upstream from a misspent bullet. Place no hands where eyes haven't been. A rock ledge on a warm March morning crawls with snakes knotted around nothing but the expectation of an open palm. Douse a fire twice, then cover with dirt. One ember can smolder a resinous root to flame that runs the ground to bedded leaves, spruce boughs, trunks fingering fire straight into the sky. Carry it in full, take it out empty. But mistakes, hollow as bottles, get heavier the longer they are carried, the farther you try to haul them. Dunkard Mill Run, West Virginia, the farm. Forest once upon a deer, chestnut, turkey, bear, ginseng, oak, squirrel, berry, once. Then saws and axes made great trees human size. Cabin into house, scratched plot to fields, to industrial drifts of hogs battening on the trash of hotel kitchens. Later, the ground was in hay. Timothy, boxtail, wind stroked the hill's long flanks. We built a house and made a new garden. Bowls and bones came up with each shovel turn. I grew corn and cantaloupe, beans and tomatoes, dug deep to plant orchards, though not deep enough to root a marriage. The first year stunned by loneliness, I sowed but didn't tend. The next summer, volunteer tomatoes struggled against pigweed. By the time witchgrass overran the strawberries and the raspberries had crumbled to virus, I was gone too. I expect my apples still bear faithfully. Lodi, Macoun, Spy, and Winesap. Asparagus will last decades. Apples are for generations. Until forest. You don't leave it on the side of the road. Only the skunk, who is precious in the sight of the Almighty, for his first fingers marked its back like you'd stroke a cat's. That piss kitty just humping across the road, headed for what egg breaking or cricket hunting it does in the night. When the tire finds it and the wheel, the bump too small to be a body broken, but it was, raises up a smell from earth to heaven like a mortal soul clinched for the longest time to the ankle of its death. Not ending it. Yarrow's roots go deep. No matter how much I discourage it, the plant comes back, feathery fronds emerging through the bee balm, then heads of tiny flowers. Achillea, soldier's woundwort, sanguinary, long used to stanch blood. If I had a wound that could be healed, then I'd keep this plant around, but contained in a pot, unable to creep. It's of no more use to me than the amaranth that came up this year, that I let grow week by week in hopes it was something other than a rank weed. I finally broke it over before seeds could finish forming. I may have been too late. Next year, I expect it might sprout among the yarrow, give me a brief shock like an ex-lover met turning a corner of the street. You can't, of course. Green is everywhere, but the mind picks and chooses, selecting this trail through farmland rather than forest. A little stream, familiar as the descending path, fences and 5-bar gates, the barn, the rolled hay, black cattle belly deep in foxtail, timothy, red clover, alfalfa. The names of forage learned ages ago on your uncle's farm. Knowing you can't, of course, go home again. Still, there's comfort in the simulacrum. Cows and a pond with geese. Sad, really, you don't want more. I'm going to turn now to some prose. If I can hold this up and have it show up properly. This is Upon the Corner of the Moon, my new book, the first of two telling the story of the historical King Macbeth, rightful ruler for 17 years, and his wife Gruach. This scene has some connection to the Shakespeare story. Macbeth, still in his teens, has survived his first battle and is riding to rejoin the king. He's mourning the death of his father at the hands of a kinsman, Gilcomgan. He stopped at a spring and drank. The mineral tang reminded him of another pool where his father had cupped water in 2 hands for him to sip. It had a strong taste. The water was bordered by black, hard ground. Iron, his father had said, iron in the stone here, such as makes strong swords and strong men. Drink up. Macbeth remembered. Some things seemed familiar here, yet most remained strange. The small details, the shape of a stone outcrop, how a stream cut parallel to the shore, somehow remained sharp while the whole remained faint and unclear. He had spent little time in Murray since riding away to become Malcolm's foster son. It was the memory of ravaged Connemail who carried him into fosterage, as much as the more distant memories of his father, that spurred a desire inside that he could not allow to break free. The deep ache in his bruised side might have been from the battle, or from looking out across lands that should wear his father's name still. The dog-stout Gilcomgan wore the Mormaer's chain entangled with mere ornament, jingling, ruling where his brother would not or could not. Malcolm felt the weight of leadership without golden circlet or chain, knew what stewardship meant, and he knew he would avenge both his friend and his father. There would come a time. He smelled blood and smoke. He faced the Norsemen again, But the great man shrank down to become narrow-faced Gilcongan, and he stood without any weapon because he needed none. He had stolen the king's face and used it for a shield, knowing Macbeth could not strike the king his father, even to avenge his father. Words bound him, vows, the soft words of the Bible. Turn the other cheek, vengeance is mine. 70 times 7. Macbeth pushed aside the visions, mists brought on by weariness. What had urged him to leave behind good food and soft beds? His horse was wandering with the reins slack. The sky was a soft wash of pink and gold. The moon would change the land to white before the sun showed itself again across the northern sea. He took up the reins. The first faint stars showed as he crossed the wastelands toward Forres, marked by the blur of smoke above Twin Hills, a wooded one to the south, and what had been his father's fortress on its bald height above the river. The hard heath seemed boundless, a sea, and on it his horse, a rocking boat. Seabirds whirled overhead, and gorse and heather and reclining berry plants crested and fell in endless waves. Birds erupted from the tangles, crying over hidden nests. He saw a person walking, a thin motion on the wide earth. Slowly, as they approached one another, the figure grew and became a slender young woman, walking freely with her blonde hair loose on the wind. She carried a large flat basket, such as women use for gathering. "I greet you, son," the woman said. She was older than he had thought at first, her long hair streaked with gray. Perhaps she was moon-touched, wandering. "Your greeting is welcome," he said. "Do you live close by here, mother?" She turned around on her heel, her arms wide. "Son of this soil, you well know my place." "How do you know my birth?" "Macbeth, the son of life. You count yourself the son of Finlay, who is son of the Red One. I remind you that you are the son of Duada, who is daughter of Covleth, daughter of Ate the Sad." And he saw her change. Her first willowy appearance cramped down by age, and now she was bent and her hair thin, white, straggling. Her eyes remained a sea-washed blue. He remembered tales of the Sidhe and Duncan's fears. The walking women, the washing women, the keeners at unseen deaths, ancient lost souls, the monk Oswald called them, bred by fallen angels upon the daughters of men in the time before the flood. Macbeth crossed himself. "May the protection of Jesus the Christ be over me." "And that of Mary, his holy mother," the woman answered, smiling, growing younger. The basket was a cradle, and in it a newborn baby, and both of them were surrounded with light like sun in the haze on the sea. All around their light was soft darkness, and a crescent moon gleamed under her feet, and stars crowned her head. He knelt. She held the broken body of the Savior in her arms. Aged by grief, she laid him in the ground. Her son rose and lived, and stood beside her, and she was young again and again and again. And then there was only her, a simple woman in a farm wife's garb with the salt wind in her unbound hair. The sun rode up in a new sky. Macbeth felt fear tighten around him as it had not in the battle. not even when the Westfold man's axe swung whispering by his neck. Son of this place, she said, you will be rewarded for valor with the land in which you were born, a part at first, and then the whole. Finally, all Alba will be your portion. He shuddered as though at crossing his own grave. Remember the people who were already in this land when your forefathers came here. When you are king, twice king, remember our meeting. Remember the White Lady. Thank you for this time with you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Um, Thank you to Kelly Shin and 10 for 10 for bringing us together. Bye now.